Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We're on our feet today, myself and Ale.
That's right.
Gab Marcotti is joining us as well. So it's a bit of an intimate setting.
Yes, it is.
For these questions that you guys are going to be answering today. Where is Gab? Somewhere.
Where are we? Hey, all right.
Well, there we are. Yeah, Gab's joining us as well. But yes, thank you for being with us for the latest edition of Extra Time. First question. For the boys, Arsenal dominated most of the game today against Liverpool, but again found themselves on the wrong end of a decision. Do you think a lack of a proven number 9 is the main underlying problem with the squad?
Is that for Gab or is that for me?
I don't know if Gab's there, so
okay, so by default it's for me. No, go ahead, Gab. Go ahead, Gab.
Look, there's more than one way to play football. You could argue that, Manchester City were pretty good before Erling Haaland came in, and they probably didn't have a proven number 9, whatever that means. If the goals are coming from different positions and you have all your coordinated attacking and movement, you can play that way. But you need really, really good players. I'm not sure that Gabriel Jesus, when available, is a really, really good player. Today we saw him try Kai Havertz in that role. Again, is he a proven number 9? Well, he played number 9 for Chelsea for a couple of years, won a Champions League, didn't score 30 goals, but he's got the tools to do it. But he's played number 9 very, very rarely this season for Arsenal. So I don't think it's quite as simple as that, go and sign a striker. They're in this situation by design, and I think, Arteta has a plan, and I think he's going to decide at the end of the season whether that plan is worthwhile or not.
All right. Gab, next one is for you.
Okay.
AJ says, what's your thoughts on Juve's Turkish wonder kid, Kenan Yildiz?
Well, first of all, big shout out to Juve, by the way, today, who won. We didn't get to mention it on the show, but they came from behind against Salernitana. Salernitana, they'd stuffed 6-1 in the Coppa Italia just a few days earlier. Salernitana did go a man down early in the second half, but Juve still came back into it. And a thumping header from Vlahovic late on to give them the 3 points, which means they stayed right behind Inter. Kenan Yildiz, the guy looks so confident. He's a kid, but we saw when he made his debut, was it 2 weeks ago or a week ago? He certainly has a ton to give, and he's another option. And I just think it's fantastic how Allegri finds himself in the situation where historically he doesn't trust kids. Now he's forced to play the kids, and he's finding out that some of these kids, whether it's Yildiz, whether it's Samuel Ealing Jr., whether it's Miretti, whether it's Caviglia, some of these guys are actually pretty good, and hey, they can actually contribute.
And the thing that we saw from him in the midweek in Coppa Italia, he is a credible threat on the opposite side of Chiesa. So if you have Yildiz coming from the left-hand side in the manner in which he did and score, cutting to the inside and finishing to the near post, and you kind of go, wait a minute. Is this sustainable? Is this what we continue to see? And if indeed it is what you continue to see, it's like yet another player that can run at defenders, in this case, opposite of Chiesa. So if you're Allegri, you're looking at this and saying, wait, we can go from being just the pragmatic team that is just gonna absorb pressure and win games 1-0 to actually a team that can get after defenders, that can go in 1v1 situations, that can isolate players, that can score goals. We can do that. Yildiz gives you some of that down the left-hand side.
They can do that, but Gab's probably laughing because he knows Allegri won't do that.
Well, look, I was laughing at that, and also his kids are going to be fit. Look, Ali's right. We're Allegri, a certain type of manager, you would totally embrace this. You would say, hey, look, guys, we're down, but look at the excitement, look at the kids, and so on. Instead, he's been so reluctant in moving across, and, this fixation, and still, oh my God, Angel Di Maria left, what are we going to do? You saw last season with the signing of Paredes. Enough already. Trust the kids. It's a transition year. You'll still finish top 4 because you're Juve. Focus on getting Vlahovic serviced and stop messing around with these free transfers and these kind of sort of patchwork solutions. And I think they've dragged him kicking and screaming into it. And I think Allegri's maybe even, dare I say it, evolving a little bit to embrace it. But is it going to be 4-3-3, Chiesa on one side and Yildiz on the other? I'm not so sure. I think he still likes his front two.
Okay, I'm going to start calling you Alessandro Moreno.
Oh, well, you know.
Bringing the Juve heat.
Yeah, I'll break it
Okay.
down. La vecchia signora, baby.
Are you ready? Because this is the moment of truth.
Okay, here we
This
go.
half came up today in the show.
Uh-huh.
Ale, rank them based on higher talent ceiling.
Okay.
Saka,
Yeah.
Pedri,
Yeah.
your son, Foden,
Kind of. Uh-huh.
and your new son, Jude Bellingham.
Well, right, can I just say, just full disclosure for those that do not know, I have offered a seat at the table to Pedri in my house. But given the fact that he continues to be injured, that seat is now gone, right? Jude Bellingham has taken over, so I'm going to go Jude Bellingham, then Pedri. I think when Pedri is fit, when he's healthy, he is a premier midfielder around the world. He is elite sort of talent and the calmness with which he plays and maturity with which he plays at a very young age. I'm going to say Pedri because he can only get better. But in order to get better, he has to be fit. After that, I'll take Bukayo Saka and then Phil Foden. So Bellingham, Pedri, Saka, Foden.
Okay. For Ale and Gab, why does Bayern want Eric Dier, even as a stopgap in their defence? Is there something here that regular football fans like us are missing? Gab?
I'm not sure that they do. I think he's available. Obviously, he doesn't fit into Ange Postecoglou, or Ange Postecoglou, as Jules calls him. He doesn't fit into his plans. I mean, even when everybody was injured, he was still playing Ben Davies and Emerson Royal at the back. So I think Bayern have said to him, hey, look, if we're going to bring somebody in, it's a short-term thing. We already have 3 highly paid center backs. We don't need a 4th highly paid one. And so Eric Dier's a body. He probably remembers him from playing against him. And I think that's what he's thinking of. And I think, probably agent driven a little bit. Dier certainly wants to play football. And we've had news that, Spurs are likely to bring in another center back. So it's not like the injury to Van de Ven means, or Romero's endless string of red cards means that Dier is going to get that much more playing time. So all these things put together seems like a marriage of convenience between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, Derek Ray's had his say, saying obviously Kim Min-jae off to the Asian Cup.
Uh-huh.
Jan Fjortof's had his say and said, you keep Harry Kane happy, you bring him a little friend along,
Okay.
keep him company.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure.
You are Mr. Bundesliga here at ESPN
I play
as well.
buddy. I play buddy, huh? Yeah,
Few
they
million,
can go on a
few
play
million
date.
to keep your star striker happy.
Yeah. I think it's about depth for Bayern Munich, and it's something that Thomas Tuchel has complained about. Quietly has complained about it, and actually loudly has complained about it. And I only say depth because an area of the field that has been an issue for Bayern Munich not only has been defending, but also in the midfield. And one of the complaints that Thomas Tuchel has had is, well, we wanted Palhinha, now we don't have Palhinha, we don't have a number 6 because Joshua Kimmich is not a number 6. My point is, I think the depth you're going to get here is both in the midfield position and then in the center back position. But depth, that's about it. Not a guy who's going to start, just a guy that in case people are not available, in case players are injured, in case players go to the Asian, African Cup of Nations, whatever the case may be, whoever is not available, then deeply you kind of turn to Eric Dier. Hey, are you done playing with Harry? Yeah, come on and play here. But he's not the option.
I'm kind of baffled because the Bundesliga is on break. They're not back for yonks. Hopefully everybody's going to be fit, and hopefully Kim Min-jae will be back by that point. So he'll have his 3 center backs. All of this would have been simpler if maybe they hadn't let Josip Stanisic go, because obviously he can play right back, he can play center back too, for you as well if you really need that 4th center back. I find it hilarious that we have these endless discussions about who their 4th option at center back is and who the number 6 is. I mean, you don't like Kimmich, who did fine there for years and years and years with the people who came before you. You've got Leimer there as well, who can do a job for you if it's just about being a body. I don't understand why all of a sudden, Kimmich is like this little German turd for you, and oh no, he's not a 6, he's an 8, he's a 10, he's a 6.5, he's a whatever the hell. Look, just play with Kimmich, figure it out. You're a big boy, you're a smart boy, you won the Champions League. Figure it out. It's not that difficult. Others have done it before you. You can do the same.
And to that point, I would go as far as to say, Gab, that when Bundesliga returns, Joshua Kimmich will not be playing in the midfield for Bayern Munich. In fact, I'm going to suggest that he would pull Joshua Kimmich and put him in the right back position and put Konrad Laimer and Pavlovic, or Rafael Guerreiro and Pavlovic, a combination of those three players in the midfield. Because in the best performances that Bayern Munich has had this season in Bundesliga, Joshua Kimmich has either been suspended or out injured or out ill. And so you kind of put those things together and you kind of go, well, Thomas Tuchel doesn't feel like Joshua Kimmich is the answer, and so therefore he's going to find some other answer within that squad.
No, he's gotten this idea into his head. Look, he's not going to change his mind. I agree with you. It's entirely probable. You know, Rafael Guerreiro played most of his career as a wing back. Now he's a 6. We'll play Goretzka there, which he's also done. Look, it's entirely possible because he's convinced himself of this. But what I'm saying is, it's not like Joshua Kimmich is 18 years old. He has a whole body of work before him, and he's done fine in the position before. This only became an issue after Tuchel convinced himself, after being in charge of Bayern for 2 months, that he needed Palhinha or whoever else to be in that position. And whatever. Good luck to him.
All right. Gab, the wait is almost over, and Ale and I will be back for Bayern's game against Hoffenheim on Friday. Don't worry, the Bundesliga will be back very soon, and we'll get some answers too. Once again, something about Eric Dier has had us talking for far longer than we expected to here on ESPN FC. So we're moving on now while we can. Who finishes the season with more goals and assists? Kai Havertz or Mason Mount, Ale?
I'm going to say Kai Havertz because at least he's playing. Mason Mount is injured. And even when he hasn't been injured, he's not playing. Even when Manchester United has struggled to put people on the field, he hasn't played with any sort of consistency. So, not because I truly believe in Kai Havertz, but by process of elimination, I'm going to take the guy who actually has a chance of playing.
Gab and Ale, who's going further in the NFL playoffs, Eagles or Cowboys? Should you two place a wager to see who makes it to the NFC Championship game?
Honestly, I make this very simple. Given how god-awful we have been, all season long, even when we were 10-1, we were getting lucky in games. And when I came on, we were losing again to the freaking New York Giants, meaning that we would end the season, 1-6? Are you kidding me? I'm going to say the Cowboys are going further. No question about it.
It's 24-0 to the Giants right now.
Okay.
As we're ESPN, we've got screens
Thank you.
everywhere. There you go.
I'm glad he wanted that that scoring update. Okay.
Just thought I'd throw it in there. Little chance to talk NFL today.
All right. The critical part for the Dallas Cowboys is playing at home. When they play at home, they're a different team with a different personality, with a different level of confidence. If they win today against the Washington Commanders, or if the Eagles lose, which they seem to be doing, the Cowboys will win the division and therefore play at home up until they get to that NFC Championship and potentially play at San Francisco. So, if the Cowboys play at home, they get all the way to the NFC Championship. What happens then? I don't like it so much. I don't really trust this team in the playoff because there are too many scars in this group, and too many of these players have gone through a lot of disappointment, and they've disappointed me too. And I've lost bets to Gab in the past, and I'm not going to do it again because I think it was an expensive bet that I had to pay in Milan. So yeah, not doing that either.
What's your American name then now? Alex?
Well,
We've had them all today, haven't we, to an NFL chat. All right. Gab, last question. How excited are you for the Africa Cup of Nations, and who are your favourites?
I haven't fully wrapped my head around this, but as you know, as listeners know, I have a soft spot for Nigeria, but I haven't gone and done any of my handicapping yet. What I do hope is that Andre Onana doesn't pay too big a price if indeed it is true that he ends up playing against Spurs on Saturday and then the following day against Guinea on Sunday, because that would just be silly.
All right. I've decided it's Al.
Big Al.
Big Al. Which Yanag Fiotov always likes to call you? Al.
Yes.
Oh, as Al said. All right, that's all we've got time for on the latest edition of Extra Time. Thanks so much for sending in your questions. The guys will be back tomorrow to talk about that game between Wigan and Manchester United.
What about the Cowboys?
And a lot more.
Talking about the Cowboys again?
Yeah, what about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
Oh, how about them Cowboys?
Come on
Sorry,
now.
Ali. Oh, my goodness. American citizen as well.